From the thick sludge of the Industrial Revolution came a discovery that changed medicine. Subscribe to At the Greats of Our Time.
In the mid-1800s, Europe had a huge, disgusting problem. The Industrial Revolution was powered by coal. But burning that coal left behind millions of tons of coal tar, a thick, black, toxic sludge that smelled like rotting asphalt. It ruined rivers, polluted soil, and was considered utterly useless trash. Then, an 18-year-old college kid made a complete disaster of a chemistry experiment in his makeshift attic laboratory. Trying to create a cure for malaria, he failed miserably. But while scrubbing out his beaker, he accidentally stumbled upon something that didn't just change fashion overnight. It birthed modern organic chemistry, built multi-billion-dollar pharmaceutical giants like BASF and Bayer, and paved the way for modern chemotherapy. Welcome back to the greats of our time. Today, we are looking at how dirty, toxic coal sludge accidentally birthed the modern synthetic world. If you love deep dive stories about the hidden geniuses who built our world, smash that subscribe button. It really helps this channel grow. Now, let's jump back to London, 1856. In 1856, the British Empire had a massive military headache, malaria. The only known treatment was quinine, an organic compound extracted from the bark of South American cinchona trees. Quinine was extraordinarily expensive, scarce, and in massive demand. Enter William Henry Perkin. He was an 18-year-old student at the Royal College of Chemistry in London, studying under the famous German chemist August Wilhelm von Hofmann. Hofmann gave Perkin a challenge: find a way to synthesize artificial quinine in a laboratory. Back then, structural chemistry was in its infancy. Chemists knew the atomic formula of quinine, C20H24N2O2, but they had no idea how the atoms were actually arranged in 3D space. Perkin assumed that if he just mixed coal tar chemicals like aniline with potassium dichromate and oxidized them, the atoms would magically snap together to form quinine. Spoilers, chemical synthesis doesn't work like Lego bricks in a bucket. Instead of getting pristine, clear quinine crystals, Perkin got a dark, sticky, ruined mess at the bottom of his flask. Defeated, Perkin began washing the beaker out with alcohol. But as the alcohol dissolved the sludge, the solution transformed into a brilliant, glowing purple liquid. Perkin dipped a strip of silk into the glass. The purple bound to the fabric immediately. He washed it with soap, left it in the sun, and it didn't wash out or fade. He hadn't cured malaria. He had invented Mauveine, the world's first commercial synthetic dye. Purple dye, historically known as Tyrian purple, had to be harvested by crushing tens of thousands of rotting Mediterranean sea snails just to dye the trim of a single Roman emperor's robe. Ordinary people wore shades of brown, grey, and beige. Perkin realized he was sitting on a gold mine. He dropped out of college, patented his formula, persuaded his father to invest his life savings, and opened the world's first synthetic dye factory at Greenford. The dye took off like wildfire. Empress Eugénie of France, the trendsetter of Europe, started wearing mauve. Queen Victoria wore a mauve silk dress to the Royal Exhibition of 1862. Suddenly, every woman in Europe and America wanted purple. The British satirical magazine Punch poked fun at the craze, warning that a strange epidemic was sweeping the nation: the Mauve Measles. For the first time in human history, working-class factory hands, maids, and shopkeepers could afford the exact same brilliant colors worn by queens. Coal tar chemistry had democratized fashion. Perkin's purple opened the floodgates. Chemists across Europe realized coal tar wasn't waste. It was a treasure chest of organic molecules. If oxidizing aniline made purple, what would happen if you reacted it with nitric acid, arsenic, or copper? Within years, scientists unlocked a rainbow of synthetic aniline dyes: magenta, fuchsia, Bismarck brown, and methyl violet. In 1865, German chemist August Kekulé cracked the secret structure of benzene, a ring of 6 carbon atoms. This allowed chemists to predict chemical reactions instead of just blindly mixing stuff. While Britain hesitated to build research universities, Germany leaned into chemical synthesis hard. Industrial giants emerged: BASF, Badische Anilin, and Sodafabrik. Bayer. Höchst. Here's where the story takes a mind-blowing turn. Synthetic dyes didn't just stain cloth, they stained biology. In the late 1800s, German scientist Paul Ehrlich noticed that synthetic coal tar dyes selectively stained specific parts of human cells and bacteria under a microscope while leaving others untouched. Ehrlich asked a revolutionary question. If a chemical dye can selectively bind to a bacteria cell without touching surrounding human tissue, can we attach a toxin to that dye to kill the disease without killing the patient? He called this concept magic bullets, the fundamental idea behind targeted drugs and chemotherapy. Soon, companies that started out making coal tar dyes realized they were sitting on the future of medicine. 1. Bayer turned coal tar derivatives into aspirin in 1899. 2. Synthetic dyes like methylene blue became the world's first synthetic anti-malarial drugs. 3. Research into aniline chemicals gave birth to early antibiotics, synthetic plastics, and modern pharmaceuticals. By the age of 36, William Henry Perkin retired as a rich man to devote his life to pure scientific research. Think about how wild this journey is. It started with toxic coal sludge that nobody wanted. It led to a failed Easter holiday experiment to cure malaria. It turned into a purple fashion craze that shattered class barriers. And it ended up building the foundation of modern organic chemistry, agriculture, plastics, and big pharma. Next time you put on a brightly colored shirt, take an aspirin for a headache, or look at a microscopic lab slide, remember, you have a dirty pot of coal tar and an 18-year-old's lab mistake to thank. What's your favorite accidental discovery in history? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this episode of The Greats of Our Time, drop a like, share this with a history or science nerd, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into the moments that made our modern world. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.